Welcome everyone. I'm Mark with the Schrock Show. I'm your host, and I have Steven here with us today, and he's a mixed martial artist, MMA fighter, right?
Yep.
And so he's gonna tell us a little bit about that and about how he got into it. So I guess how old were you when you got into?
I started judo when I was like 8 years old.
All right.
My dad was supposed to take me to a piano class because my brother was already boxing, and he drove up to the class. He looked at me and said, "Do you want to do this?" I said, "Nope." He drove me across the street, went to judo, and it's been combat sports ever since. Yeah. And I moved from judo to wrestling in like high school, and then did a little bit of wrestling in college, did fighting after that, and just kind of retired for 6 years. And then had a fight, retired for 6 years, opened a gym, and just had another fight. So I'm officially retired again for the third time.
For the third time, okay. So when you started, what did you start with?
I started with grappling, like just
grappling.
straight wrestling and judo, and just a lot of just double legs, single legs, sprawl, spin, a lot of that type of stuff. Arm bars from judo. Judo doesn't have a whole lot of chokes, at least they didn't used to. So we started there, and then after I was done with judo and wrestling, I wanted to learn how to hit somebody. My brother was a really good boxer, so he used to hit me all the time. So I was like, let's see how this works. I went to Muay Thai, because in Muay Thai you can grab guys. So if I got stung, I'd be able to grab them up and not keep getting hit, because I was kind of new to striking. So, and just kind of went from Muay Thai into kickboxing to boxing, went back into kickboxing into MMA from there.
So on wrestling, obviously, is just. Is wrestling kind of like jiu-jitsu in a way?
Yeah, it is.
So a lot on the ground.
Yeah, so you kind of think of MMA as like the centerpiece, right?
Yeah.
And then on one side you have all your grappling, and grappling is going to consist of like freestyle collegiate wrestling, where they're just grabbing guys by the waist, by the leg, and just trying to slam them down, get on top, get a dominant position. Greco-Roman wrestling, it's very similar. You're just not allowed to grab the guy's legs. You can only do upper body motion and leg trips. With jiu-jitsu, now that's where you get finishers. That's where you're going to add in submissions or arm traps and chokes, but you don't get pinned in jiu-jitsu. So you can be on your back in jiu-jitsu, it's not a big deal. Wrestlers, if they get put on their back, that's the end of the match. So that's kind of the difference. And then MMA has all of that in one. And then on the other side, you kind of have boxing, that's punching, right? Taekwondo, that's kicking. You put them together, now you got kickboxing, right? If you add elbows and knees, now you have Muay Thai. And now you're looking at that's almost a fight. That is about as close to MMA as you can get without doing submissions. You go into cage fighting, that's Muay Thai plus all the grappling combined. And you get to do almost anything to your opponent. Yeah. So you gotta, the way I say it is, the more things you're allowed to do, the more you should think about defense. Because if there's 100 ways to get beat in an MMA fight, you better know all 100. Otherwise your opponent's gonna find one of them you don't know. So.
Well, so MMA, when did that start?
I would probably say, I want to say they had Pancrase 90, 89, 90.
Okay.
And then the first UFC was 1993.
Okay.
I found out about UFC in 1995. I started watching MMA. I was already watching K1 and Pride. Pride got huge in the 90s. So by 95, Pride was the #1 MMA there was, and they would fight in a boxing ring. Guys would go flying out of there it was crazy. If you've never watched MMA, start with Pride. Pride is the best stuff, and most of it's free online now. So, but yeah, Pride is where it really got started, and it was illegal in most states up until 10 years ago, which is why I had to jump to so many different sports. Literally, they just didn't have fights. They didn't have weight classes. They didn't have anything. So they had something called NHB, and I did one of those as well. It's called No Holds Barred. It was before we had MMA rules. And basically, back in the bad days, you'd show up to a fight, not know your weight class, not know your rule set, and they just kind of decide it in the back. And then you guys would go out and go have a fight, and hopefully nobody cheated. So that was like the old days. Now it's become more of a sport. It's probably a cleaner sport than most of the other ones. Even jiu-jitsu is still kind of, you show up, you might not have guys in your weight class, so you might have to go up or down a weight or something like that. In MMA, we have contracts, we have times that we're supposed to be on weight. It's treated a lot more like boxing now. So, yeah, which is nice.
So in the early days, was it just bare fists?
All through the 90s, the first guy I think that ever wore gloves in the cage. Well, Art Davidson, he wore one glove, a boxing glove. He wore it on his right hand, and then he had his other hand free for MMA on one of the first UFCs. But then the first guy to really use 4-ounce gloves, it's probably Tank Abbott. I gotta say it was either Tank Abbott or Vitor Belfort. Those two were the first ones to have 4-ounce gloves, and they figured it out. A little glove becomes a big weapon when you're punching people, because
they're pretty hard.
And you hit somebody in the head or the elbow, your hand's garbage. I mean, you see it now with bare knuckle boxing. those guys don't fight as often because their hands go to waste really quick.
Yeah,
They got to reheal them and everything. So,
So tell us a little bit about your fights that you did early on.
so
your first few fights.
the early ones were rough, man. There was like you take a fight on like a day notice, a week notice, and one of your teammates fall out, and that's your opportunity. And because there weren't fights all the time, you had to take any fight you could get. I remember there was a kickboxing match I was getting ready for, and a week later it was a Sonda match. And Sonda's like kickboxing plus double legs. Luckily I had wrestled. Nobody else knew that, but I knew it, so I was good to go. But yeah, it was. Back in the day, it was crazy. Now, it's a lot more clean. It's a lot better. We work with Arena Wars. Arena Wars is awesome. They give us fights months in advance. They got 30 shows a year across the nation. There weren't 30 shows a year in the whole country between all the promoters. And now you got one promoter doing 30. UFC's doing 30. Bellator PFL is doing 30 in America. So you get a fight whenever you want.
In what you fighted in, was that considered amateur or was that?
Well, they didn't used to have amateur for MMA, so it was kind of weird. And because I did, because it was just like show-up fights, they didn't really have amateur records and pro records at first. Now they have a full amateur.
Yeah,
they have like full amateurs. There's different rules. Like you're not allowed to elbow in the face, not allowed to knee in the face in amateurs, and there's 3-minute rounds. So that's a big difference. When you go into pros, you got 5-minute rounds. You're allowed to get elbowed and kneed. Those are a little bit more. And if you fight for ONE FC, they let you kick guys on the ground and knee them on the ground, which is that's like pride rules. My opinion. Those are the best rules. I like that kind of stuff. I think it's more realistic.
Yeah.
You don't have guys just laying on their back, doing the little foot circles, waiting for somebody to jump in.
Yeah.
You got dudes just stomping on each other. It's really scary. But it's a lot more exciting.
That's
a
lot more exciting show.
So. But yeah, that's kind of how I got started. And then now I got to tell you, this last show I went to at Arena Wars was so nice. We had like a corner where one team was, and then the other team was in another corner, not in the same room. So that was great. We had a corner man. We had the commission was there. They were checking everybody. There was a lot of cheating back in the day because there's just there's 2 government officials to run 30 fights. Sure. Now there's like 30 government officials to run 10 fights. So it's just gotten a lot nicer. It's a lot more sport.
These fights now. So what would these fights now consider? Like the one you just fought in? What's that?
So that's a regional show. So that's
regional.
3-minute rounds. The guy I fought had just come off of a ground and pound knockout the month prior, and he came in again, but he missed weight. I did not like that. Almost every single opponent I've ever had has missed weight. So, but it is what it is.
So what does that mean, missing weight?
So we was contracted at 135.
Okay.
And the funny thing is, I actually asked the promoter if he wanted to go 140 because I was like 141. So I was like, if we go 140, I don't even have to cut weight. But he wanted to go 35, and he came in 138 and a half. So it is what it is. It is what it is. You got to let it go.
So does that extra weight make a big difference?
I don't think the weight made a difference. I think him not having to cut weight made a difference.
That's what made a difference.
Like he didn't have to dehydrate down as much as I did. He got to eat a little bit more during the fight. He probably got a few more rounds in for prepreparation, things like that.
I could see how that could make a difference, just the overall.
Yeah, like 5 pounds, it matters in wrestling, but outside of wrestling, in jiu-jitsu, weight doesn't really matter hardly at all, And in striking, it's speed. Speed is everything. So the weight didn't bother me. It's just the fact that like I looked like I was gonna die on scale, and he was like, "Ho hum, I'm good. I just ate a burger," and he stepped on. I was like,
So I could see how that could make a big difference, just in the overall health.
And
how you feel as if you don't have to cut that.
Yeah, because we only have a day to rehydrate, so you can't cut too much. You cut too much, you're going in there like dead. No, I tell guys try not to cut more than 5 to 8 pounds of water. If you wake up and you're more than 10 pounds off, you're probably going to miss weight. I've seen guys cut 10 pounds in a day. It is not good for you. In a day. All water, too.
That's
a gallon of water, 8 pounds and a third. So
that's what bodybuilders do, right?
Yep, exact same. In fact,
they lose a lot of water.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, in fact, a lot of our weight cutting system comes from old school bodybuilding. Like, they did it the right way. And you see those guys. They look great on stage. They're flexing. They go to the back. They're on oxygen mask. They're passing out. They're dehydrated, half dead. Yeah, it's kind of how it is.
So I think we went over this in the first episode with him, but cutting again. What does that involve?
So I'm pretty scientific about it. I do all my macros. As the day that I know I have a fight, I have my whole weight cut designed out. I have the math down. It's math. It's essentially math. If you know your macros, if you know how your body responds, if you know how much water your body can cut, and you know your general body fat percentage, it's literally just doing math. I generally eat about a 3,500 calorie a day diet, just because I'm super active. My resting metabolic rate, which is like your maintenance calories you need, is probably only about 1,500 calories. But I do so much activity that I need an additional 2,000 to grow. That cut down to like 1,000 calories my first day of the weight cut, and then that gradually cuts down more. The way I like to do it is I like to increase the number of meals I have throughout the day, and then lower the number of calories per meal by quite a bit. So I'll start off with like three 600 calorie meals, and then that'll get dropped down to 4 300 calorie meals, and then 5 200 calorie, and then just keep dropping. Last day, I generally don't eat. I won't drink water, and then the next morning I dehydrate down. I should be about 5 pounds off. I suck in the weight, get on the scale, and then immediately start drinking Pedialyte.
Right.
Yeah.
So after you weigh in, you can start drinking.
Yeah. So, and even the weigh-in, after the weigh-in, I'm pretty scientific about it. I like to have like salt and water first. Then you have simple sugars. You put in carbs. Then you start putting in proteins, then fats. Some guys, they'll get off the scale and start eating pizza and like Oreos. Like, dude, you're gonna cramp. Your body's not gonna perform well. You know, you just cut all this weight. Why are you gonna ruin it? Why are you gonna ruin your performance now? You know, so we're all pretty scientific about it. Most of our members are engineers, and they're doing this as a hobby.
Yeah.
So they like the fact that it's structured and that we kind of have a systematic way of doing it. And I've cut weight over 100 times, so I'm pretty.
Yeah.
I got my system
so.
down.
Yeah.
You know, like we got it down. Although I will say this is the most weight I did ever cut in a fight. It was short notice, so I did not expect to come out of a retirement.
How
for
much
a
did
fight.
you cut in this one?
About a little over 20 pounds from day one to the fight.
How many days was that?
It's like 18 days.
18
I had
days,
18
you
days
cut
to cut
20
about
pounds.
20 and a half pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, and I have most of it back already. My body fat percentage stayed pretty consistent. It drops a little bit as you get to the scale, but like I was saying, it's mostly just the extra food you carry in your body, the extra water you have in your muscles, and then that gets put right back on before your fight. So
right back on like just the day of?
Yeah. So about 24 hours, you're going to
24
gain
hours.
back. Like if you cut, let's say I cut 20 pounds for the fight, I gained back from weigh-in day to the actual fight. I probably gained back like 8 pounds, maybe 9, just because of a gallon of water and a little bit of food in my stomach. My opponent gained back like 12, and he didn't cut as much, so I was pretty surprised how big he was in the cage, but it is what it is. I fight bigger guys all the time. I'm pretty used to it now. So
then the weight class, what does that range? Do you have to, like, when you fight a guy, do you have to be pretty much the same weight?
Yeah.
So, like you said, this last guy was more.
Yeah, he was within 5 pounds.
Within
And
5 pounds.
You can make him cut more. You guys can, like, if he weighed in first, and I knew I was going to miss, and he was going to miss, we generally just go, all right, well, we both missed, no big deal.
Yeah.
If he made it and I missed, he would make me cut until he made it. Well, you have 2 hours, basically.
And you can cut in 2 hours?
Well, like, let's say you're half pound off. You can get that off
You
in
can
2
get that
hours.
off
Yeah,
in
if you really want to. If you really want to, but I didn't. Yeah, I was glad that it was over.
Well, I'm good to get that off in like a month.
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. It's crazy what fighters do. I tell people, if you want to talk to a local fighter, their weight cuts are like not the best way, but it's the quickest way to lose weight.
No, I was going to say you'd probably have good advice if somebody wants to.
Yeah, and that's a big part of what we do here. We're either building your strength, we're conditioning you for a sport, or you're looking to manage your weight. And you might be managing your weight because you feel like you're too big. You might have too much body fat, not enough muscle mass. So you're not looking to change your overall body weight. You're looking to change your body composition.
Yeah.
You know, because you could be a 6 foot tall, 250 pound guy and be in really good shape with abs, or you could be a 6 foot tall, 250 pound guy and be, completely out of shape with no muscle and skinny arms.
Yeah.
It just depends on what your body's composed of, right?
Yeah.
And generally, I tell people don't use BMI, use body fat percentage. It's hard to get a accurate body fat percentage, but honestly, just Google what 10% body fat looks like on a guy with your frame, and you could match it up pretty quick.
Yeah, because I think I'm like way overweight for my size, because I'm shorter. So
For sure. Well, and like I said, it depends if you got all leg weight, Ed Cohen, he's like 5'6", 220 pounds, but he could deadlift 1,000 pounds. He could squat 1,000 pounds, and he had no body fat. So, like, he's
big,
225, 6, but he looked like a tank, you know. Mike Tyson, same thing.
Yeah,
he's 225, 9, and he's abbed up, looking huge. So, but me, I'm a skinny guy. I'm skinny and long. I've always been skinny. I'm trying to slowly gain weight my whole life. So weight cuts I hate because it's all my progress is going.
Yeah, it goes away. So this last fight, is that your last fight then?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I did say that 6 years ago.
You did
They
say
all
that
remind
6
me,
years
but I took it on short notice. I just wanted to cover one of my other guys that was not ready. He just fell out. He was not ready. Too small. and out of shape. So even
Okay.
if he got in shape, he'd be really small.
Yeah.
I pulled him from the fight. I was like, "You're not fighting. I'll step in for you.
Yeah.
I fight every day. I do this every day. We train every day. So it's my life. It's
Yeah,
what I
it's
do
what
every
you're
day.
gonna always do.
Yeah, yeah. So I
Always
was
keep-
pretty confident, you know. Fight went really well. The owner, she had a fight that same night, so I was pulling double duty. I had a kickboxer, an MMA fighter, and my fight while I was coaching everybody. So, but the like I said, Arena Wars, they really help you out, man. They let me have my fight first, and then they put a fight in between me and my next guy, and then I was able to have enough time to like relax and like start coaching them up
So
and
they
get them
actually-
ready. Yeah, they help
try
you a
to work
lot.
it,
It's
yeah.
so nice. Back in the day, it would have been the opposite. It would have been like, no, you're fighting last on the card. So now you got to think about your fight while you're actually helping your guys.
Helping your guys,
Yeah, so they're really
So
great.
a lot's probably changed since the 90s as far as that goes.
Oh yeah, from the 90s, I would say just from 2005 to 2015,
yeah.
everything changed.
Everything
you know,
changed.
it became a sport.
Yeah.
It went from sideshow to
Sideshow,
sport.
yeah.
You know,
Is that what UFC started out, was more just a side?
yeah.
Was it boxing or the? What
it was
that?
straight cage fighting. No, it was like
It was-
cage fighting. They had
okay.
less rules when
Okay.
they started. Now they
Really?
got a lot more rules. And they're good rules. It's like
Yeah.
no hitting in the back of the head kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
you
No
can't.
no
Yeah.
ball strikes. You used to be allowed to gouge eyes. You used to
Really?
be allowed to fish hook guys.
Really?
You're not allowed to do that anymore. You used to be able to do groin shots.
Really?
I mean,
You
yeah.
can't- yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. And there was another, they kind of had UFC in Brazil. It's called Vale Tudo.
Mm-hmm.
Same kind of rules. They fought in a boxing ring with a net at the bottom of the ring so guys couldn't slide out.
Yeah.
Dudes would pull the net over their face and just start hitting. It was crazy. You'd never be able to do that today.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot more entertaining back then, but a lot more of a sport today.
Yeah.
So
So what's that? So there's UFC and then they have the slap.
yeah, oh God.
So where's
I'll be
that
honest,
fit
man,
into the whole thing?
I
That's gotten pretty big though, hasn't it?
think it has.
I mean, there's-
much to my
yeah.
dismay, I'll be honest. I'm not into sports without defense.
Yeah.
Never in my wildest dreams would I ever just stand in front of you and let you hit me. Like that's
Yeah,
not.
seems
It
pretty
goes against
crazy.
everything I think.
Yeah.
I'm more like a Ali Mayweather mindset.
Yeah.
I want to hit and not get hit. I want to
Yeah.
hit and not get hit.
That's generally the idea.
Yeah,
Not to get hit.
And my gym particularly, Next Round Fitness, we really faction on the fact that we don't take head shots.
Yeah,
we don't.
you don't.
The owner, she had a 9-minute fight. She got hit in the head one time.
Mm-hmm.
I had my fight was only a minute long, but I got hit in the head one time.
Yeah.
Even though a kickboxer, he got I think he laid out 60 strikes to the head and took in 4.
Yeah.
You know, to hit me in the body, hit me in the leg all day, but
Yeah.
don't hit me in the head.
Yeah, and
'Cause
that's what
legs
you really
heal, you know.
teach. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like getting hit in the head, I think ages you. I really do. I
Yeah.
think it ages your mind. I don't see any evidence that it's good for you. I don't see any evidence that you get better at getting hit in the head when you get older. For sure, I don't think that's
Yeah.
true. But yeah, everything we push here is hit, don't get hit.
Yeah.
You know, if you get hit, don't get hit twice.
Yeah.
If you're gonna get hit twice, make sure you swing back. Like
Yeah.
it's like real simple stuff like that. So the idea of just standing in front of somebody and just letting them full blast me, I'm good. I don't even want to watch it. I don't even like. It freaks me out. To the guys like, you're not moving, you're not blocking, nothing, no defense. Like, I like defense. That's my favorite part.
Yeah.
Favorite part of football. My favorite part of fighting.
Yeah.
So.
So if you do MMA fighting, what's the best form of martial arts to know? Or
Wrestling.
do you have wrestling? Is
Man,
it?
like wrestle is power. Wrestling is power.
That's the one.
Wrestling decides where you're at. You get to decide if you're on the ground or if you're standing.
Okay.
If you go against somebody with really good submissions, but you know they can't hit you hard,
Mm-hmm.
you can choose to stand. If you go against somebody with really good striking, but you can take them down, put them on their back, you're gonna
can
win.
do that.
Yeah,
So you
but-
think that's
yeah.
a-
Oh yeah, yeah.
that's the one to know.
Literally, what finished my fight was a submission, but what won my fight was my double leg. The owner too. The owner, she got 4 takedowns in her fight.
Yeah.
She spent 7 of the 9 minutes on top of her girl hitting her. She took no headshots because she was never on bottom. She was never standing.
Yeah.
So every time, and the best benefit of wrestling is it shuts down people's striking. If you can make someone not want to hit you in a fight, beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, like that's like the number one thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I can't swing at that guy. He might double leg me.
Yeah.
Great, half the fight's already won.
So what's a
you know?
double leg?
A double leg is it's a wrestling move where you're starting on your feet and you're going heel toe to your knee, and then you drop levels. Like you got one guy standing here and we're fighting, we're punching each other. I'm gonna drop down and then wrap around your legs. I'm gonna double both your legs up and then pull you to the ground that way. In my opinion, it's the most effective way to take somebody to the ground. I did start in Greco and Judo, so I do like clench sweeps. I like a lot of the underhooking and a lot of the trips. But double legs are by far the number 1 move you should learn if you want to have a fight. A jab is the number 2 thing you should learn if you're going to have a fight. Jab's the most important punch, and a double leg's the most important wrestling move. So
that's the most important.
Oh
those
yeah,
two are the
yeah,
most important things.
If you watch GSP, George St. Pierre versus Josh Koscheck, you see a really good example of how a jab and a double leg can dominate a fight with just those two. So that would be my advice. Anybody who wants to be a fighter, get really good health care. Don't get hit in the head. Learn to jab and learn to double leg. That would be your first 4.
And so here at this gym, you teach, like you said, just people that want to fight.
Yeah.
People that want to manage your weight.
Yep, yeah, we do a little bit of everything. So the owner, she's the strength trainer and the Muay Thai coach. I'm the MMA and Jiu-Jitsu coach. I have a wrestling coach and a kickboxing coach and a boxing coach as well that work with people. But yeah, we keep everybody on a lifting program unless they're doing just straight up combat sports just to get into shape.
Yeah.
But yeah, we handle everything from pro fighters all the way to people who day one, they don't even know what they want to do. And the cool thing about this place is you could join for jiu-jitsu. In a month, you're like, I don't really like jiu-jitsu, I want to box. So you box.
You
then
just switch back.
decide you don't want to box anymore, your hands hurt, you kick. You want to lift weights, you can lift weights. We do everything here. So we do 7 different combat sports, and we do them every day. So there's never a day where you don't have a trainer that can't teach you. So
somebody's here all the time.
Yep. And that's kind of how we designed it. We wanted a training facility where you could get ready for any combat sport, or you could just get in really good shape.
So how hard is it to make it to the pros in MMA? Is that pretty hard?
I won't say it's pretty hard. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of time, and a lot of sacrifice. Because if you're talking boxing's probably the hardest to get to pro. Just unless you count wrestling as the Olympics, because wrestling doesn't have pro. They have collegiate and Olympic. If you've never wrestled and you're 18, you will probably never make it.
You got to have that foundation.
Yeah, and the same thing with boxing. If you're 20 and you've never boxed, you're not going to make it to Olympics. You could be a pro boxer. It's just going to take some time. MMA, there is so much to learn. And you see it in the champions. Most of the champions in MMA are in their 30s. And it's because it takes forever to learn all the defenses, the submissions, the wrestling, punches, kicks,
Well, that's
knees.
the thing. You have to know pretty much everything, right? I mean, not just one thing. You got to know everything.
And you don't have to be great at everything, but you got to know the defense. You got to not let it go, you know? So that would be like, take it slow and just don't get hit in the head. But it's not impossible. You know, like I said, you could start at any age and make it to the pros. It doesn't take that long once you get it down. But now we're talking, do you want to be really ready when you go pro? Do you want to have, like Lomachenko had 299 amateur bouts before he had his first pro fight. And then he lost his first pro fight. So, like, you know, there's that stuff. And then, like I was saying, the owner, she just jumped right into MMA. She trained for like a year, had 2 fights, took a couple years off to train again, and then went back to it, right? And then just started training and fighting again. So you can do it that way. I highly suggest you don't. I don't think most people have the mentality to go have a fight without training. I don't think it's a good idea. She trained, she did a lot of different sports, and she's just that kind of person. She likes fighting. She's talented, she's athletic, she's smart, she really likes fighting. If you're all 4 of those, you got a really good chance of being a pro fighter. At the same time, get a real job. Get something that can support your family. Get something where you feel stable. Because the last thing you want is to be on one side of a cage knowing that if you don't win, you can't pay rent. I've been there. That's a rough day. Cause like,
so do you win money in those fights you fought?
You win money.
I
traded any kind of a purse or expenses. I just wanted free advertising for the gym. So we did a lot of advertising with them. We kind of partnered up with Arena Wars. I like how they run their business. They're very clean. They have
the Arena Wars, are they're a promoting company?
So you think of like the Olympic Committee runs the Olympics, right? Well, Arena Wars runs their kind of version of UFC. The cool thing with Arena Wars is you can have a jiu-jitsu match with them, you can have a kickboxing, you can do Muay Thai, you can do MMA, you can do a mixed rules fight. So they do all sorts of different fights, which is great for us because we have kickboxers, we have Muay Thai fighters, we have boxers, we have wrestlers, we have jiu-jitsu guys, we have MMA guys. You could do anything with them, and you could do it all with the same company. That's awesome. And they're national. They go everywhere from Washington down to Florida. From Boston down to
so you could
San
go
Diego.
anywhere, fight.
You can follow Arena Wars whenever you want. They literally have they have two cards a month, which is crazy. I mean, they're doing 30 shows. Matt, man, you are working too hard. 30 shows a year. I don't have 30 fighters, bro. But like, he's just all about it, man. He loves the sport. He loves the weigh-ins. He loves the fights. You know. So those guys are just really great to work with. And Derek, their matchmaker, makes like You'll get some matchmakers that'll be like, all right, I have a favorite guy. I'm going to give him the good matchups.
Yeah.
And this other guy I don't know. I don't care about him.
Yeah.
They make matches as even as they can.
Yeah,
which
they're
is
just
really
not,
nice.
that's nice. So it doesn't matter how popular the guy is.
Exactly. Your Instagram's not going to help you get fights like the UFC would.
Yeah.
You know? So they do a really good job of matching people up pretty evenly.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if there's any more you want to say or
Well, let me ask you, what combat sport's your favorite? Out of any of them that you know?
basketball.
Basketball.
Yeah.
That's a combat sport.
I know I'm short, you know, but
Yeah, basketball.
but yeah,
yeah,
basketball was my thing growing up because I played basketball.
Yeah, I feel like basketball players could
Yeah.
be kickboxers.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. They're so long and lanky, and they got
Yeah, those
hand-eye.
guys, yeah.
They're fat. I mean, people don't realize because they're
Yeah.
so big, they don't look fast. But then
Yeah.
you see them live.
Yeah.
7-foot tall guys jumping like
Yeah.
40 inches in the air and sprinting at like track runner speed.
Yeah,
That's
those
crazy.
guys they're fast.
Dude, I remember I met Shaquille O'Neal.
No, you did.
Yeah, I met Shaq kind of like at a school
Mm-hmm.
function thing. I just couldn't I thought he was standing on a table and I saw him. I was like, wow, is he so big? And he's fast, nimble,
Yeah,
quick. You know, back when he was like younger
Yeah.
and really muscular. You can't believe how fast these guys are at their size.
Did you grow up in Oregon or?
No, I grew up in New Jersey and then North Carolina.
Okay, there used to be a store here, G.I. Joe's. Mm-hmm. They went out of business years ago, but that used to be the Blazers, Portland Trail Blazers.
Oh yeah.
Every year they would send 2 of their players down to the store and they'd sign autographs.
Oh, that's awesome.
So me and my brother would go in there every
Yeah.
year and we'd get their autographs.
That's
And these
awesome.
guys are, I mean, that was back before all the social media, so
Yeah.
they had it advertised in the newspaper.
Yeah.
And just nice guys, you could talk to them. I met a lot of the players, in that like Clyde Drexler,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Kevin
that's-
Duckworth, and some of
that's
those
awesome.
guys
Yeah.
that would come down. And so now I was really into basketball.
Yeah,
But those guys they're big guys.
We got a guy, he plays for OSU, and he's a little over 7 foot tall, and he comes in here every once in a while, and it's funny because everything here is made for 6 foot and down, and everything's down here.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
real athletic guy. It's just
Yeah.
he's so big he barely fits in the gym.
Yeah.
One of those guys. He just reaches up, touches the
Yeah.
ceiling kind of guy. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think basketball players, man, they might be the most athletic people on earth. I know
I don't
NFL,
play much
but-
anymore, but
Yeah.
I'm still a decent shot.
Yeah, I was never good at ball sports. I
Yeah,
tried them
yeah.
all. I'm good at throwing punches, kicks, and
Yeah.
people, but not balls.
But not
balls.
not
No,
bouncing
I don't.
balls.
I don't have any racket or baseball
Yeah.
bat to hand-eye coordination. I'm not a tool guy. I'm literally, it's got to be one-on-one,
Yeah.
right up against somebody, or my athleticism goes away as soon as I get 5 feet away.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
I have 5 foot athleticism.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it. These guys, they got 20, 30 feet side to side, 20, 30 feet front and back,
Yeah.
and 20, 30 feet up in the air.
Yeah, exactly. They're amazing players.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
But all right, well, yeah, I think that was about it. I just
Good.
just wanted to come
Excellent,
and
huh?
interview you and talk to somebody that fights and
Yep.
get some information, and maybe
Yeah.
somebody else wants some information. So
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys have any questions on the gym, hit us up on nextroundfitness.com. We also have a YouTube channel where we post most of our fights, our highlights. It's just Next Round Fitness on YouTube. Trisha Straight, she's the owner. She's been running this place for 3 years. Julian Witten, he's our #1 kickboxer. Check out their fights. They're really good fighters. We generally fight in Springfield and Salem, so come on out.
all right, okay,
Good to go?
thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, man.
All right.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.